Typical rainy conditions in the Basque Country today for the women's edition of Clásica San Sebastián 2021. We're going to look at some of the tactics in this race, why certain riders got into the break. The women had a 140-kilometre course starting and finishing in San Sebastian. They do three main climbs. First one, Aya climb, not so steep or decisive. Then the classic Haízquebel, but it's all about the Murgil climb. It crests about 9 k's from the finish, 2 k's 10%. We'll look at its gradients in a bit more detail later, but coverage started pretty late, 35, 38 k's to go, and we had 6 riders in the breakaway, 5 of which were from the 5 World Tour teams that weren't Movistar. We had Guderzo for LBTC Ljubljana, Muzic, French national champion for FDJ, Rouilhac for Liv, Audrey Cordon-Ragot, who had been the French national champion last year for Trek Segafredo, Olivia Barril, and Sant-Esteban for Bike Exchange. The only World Tour team not represented is Movistar, because they have Annemiek van Vleuten behind. So all 6 of these riders, and there's Barril, she's from a Conti team, but the 5 Women's World Tour riders are in here to force Movistar to chase. Because if you go to the base of the Murgil climb, we have no SD Works here, there's no Uttrup Ludwig, no Elisa Longoborghini, those type of riders, or Nuvia Doma for Canyon SRAM. If any of the teams with the rosters they've brought to this race go to the base of Murgil with Van Vleuten, 100% guaranteed to lose unless she crashes on the descent or something. So this group was working pretty well together. They'd stopped working a little bit for like 30 seconds with 19 k's to go. Audrey Cordon-Ragot hit them with a little bit of a surge just before this to try and coax them into working again. The Murgil starts with like 12 k's to go. And behind it was Team Movistar doing a team time trial for Annemiek van Vleuten in the European Championships jersey. They'd had 4 riders on the front, 1 is spent. They still have Sarah Martin left for the final climb. And they did a fantastic job bringing that gap down from 140 to 130, now under a minute with 4 k's or so left before the base of the climb, whilst this break was still working pretty well together, and they knew they had to make it to that climb ahead of Van Vleuten. Here's the gradients in a bit more detail. Not as steep at the start, that it even levels off to be like false flat in the middle, and then it's over 10% for a full kilometre in the second half of the climb. Very steep ramps, and Audrey Cordon-Ragot in that sort of false flat section attacked the group. The change of pace and where she decided to attack on this rainy, narrow climb was really effective over that crest, carrying speed into this faster section, and none of the other riders decided to really take it up behind her. Rouilhac is a really good climber. She did well in Giro dell'Emilia, women's one-day race, which finishes in the Bologna Hill. I think she came 2nd or 3rd behind Ludwig last year. Guderzo is actually really good. She's 36 years old on LBTC Ljubljana, but she's a really good one-day hilly racer, won the World Championships in 2008, did well in Giro dell'Emilia as well a few years ago, but that group hadn't got enough of a gap before that climb. Van Vleuten had attacked after Sarah Martin had paced for a good kilometre or so on the Murgil climb. Van Vleuten's got Ruth Winder on the wheel. She was the only other rider that looked like she could come close to matching Van Vleuten. Remember, as I said, no Van der Breggen, Nuvia Doma and co at this race, and eventually Van Vleuten dropped Ruth Winder. She bridged across to her teammate on Trek Segafredo, Cordon-Ragot, and that was all she wrote. There's still about a K left in this climb. We're getting to the steepest section, and she puts 40 seconds into everybody else. And we've got the remnants of the breakaway as well, who are the ones you can see in shot trying to chase her. They're already tired from being in the break for about 40 to 50 minutes. I guess the point of this video and this race, which played out in a pretty straightforward fashion, is to say that sometimes, even if everybody has the correct tactics, it just doesn't work out for one of them. All the other Women's World Tour teams, apart from Movistar, did their best to get good riders in the break. Guderzo and Rouilhac, because from a break, had a very good chance of winning this. They collaborated for the most part pretty well before Murgil. Perhaps Trek Segafredo could have tried to get Ruth Winder in the break instead of Audrey Cordon-Ragot. Winder looking like a better climber on the day, but maybe Movistar wouldn't have even let that happen with 45 k's to go anyway. So all the other teams tried to do the right thing, establishing that strong break and working together, trying to get a gap on Movistar. But the difference, and Annemiek van Vleuten said this after the race, it was caught, she didn't say it in an interview, it was caught I think with the ambient feed. She said to her soigneur, it was great to have good team tactics today. Unlike the Olympic road race, she means, where no one on the Dutch team really worked together. That post-mortem's been done to death. Obviously our best ever performing video on the Lanterne Rouge cycling podcast. But Van Vleuten's team did a huge job for her today. Brake management was outstanding. She needed them to do that on the flatter sections before the Murgil climb. The course wasn't constant climbing, and then she was able to finish it off at the end, knowing that she was the best climber at this race, winning San Sebastian after winning the Olympic gold ITT, traveling from Tokyo back to Netherlands, back down to the Basque Country. Ruth Winder coming in second. Here's what Annemiek van Vleuten had to say after the race.
I think it's more an amazing victory for Movistar team, because today we showed I'm so proud of my team. Like, winning is nice, but do it all together with all 6. And we did it, I think, quite well, so professional. I'm so proud of the team. Like, we stayed all together, came together after the climb, and then they start to ride. And yeah, I felt tired and a bit jet lagged. But then if the team is working so hard, I have to finish it off.
Here's the final top 10. Van Vleuten first, then Winder, then Goddard. So hanging on for third, really good from her. Stultjens, Muzic, Chapman, Royakkers, Cordon Rigaud, Magnaldi and Ellen van Dijk rounding out the top 10. But as I said, super impressive from Van Vleuten, traveling so much. She must have been jet lagged. It was different weather conditions, cold and rainy here. It was hot and humid, I presume, out in Tokyo. Obviously, Vanna Kiesenhofer here, things might have been a bit different, but nonetheless, Movistar put in an outstanding performance for Annemiek van Vleuten today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like it down below if you did. We've got the Ladies Tour of Norway, I think is the next Women's World Tour stage race coming up. Van Vleuten's attending that in a couple of weeks. But otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.